All right, let's get this show started.
Jon Jones tests out his rugby skills. During his tour of Australia, Jones participated in tackling practice with the Canterbury Bulldogs Rugby League team, where he got to put his rugby skills to the test. Check this out. Patricio Pitbull goes off on Michael Chandler. Pitbull, an old rival of Chandler's, believes that Iron has become soft since joining the UFC roster. The two fought back in 2019 at Bellator 221, where Patricio finished Chandler in the first round by way of TKO. Now, during an interview with Drake Riggs of MMAmania.com, Pitbull said that he hasn't seen the Michael Chandler of old and said he's become a bitch since leaving Bellator for the UFC. He said, "I think it's gonna happen, Chandler vs. McGregor. They've been talking about it, maybe UFC 300, the main event and all that. Conor McGregor does what he wants. Sometimes it looks like he calls the shots in the UFC, so I wouldn't be surprised if something happens. We'll have to wait and see. If the fight ever happens, I think that all depends if Michael Chandler that fought in Bellator, that wanted to win and be the best, shows up. He's gonna take Conor down and smash him. He'll win the fight. If it's the bitch that went to the UFC and just wants to show up and entertain and make some cash, he's going to get knocked out because he's going to try to strike with Conor. He doesn't have the chin to take a shot anymore." Gilbert Burns questions the legitimacy of Colby Covington's foot injury. During a recent interview with Submission Radio, Covington shared the x-rays of a severe injury that allegedly occurred in his welterweight title fight against Leon Edwards at UFC 296. Colby stated that he broke his foot early in the fight, which prevented him from fighting in his usual high-volume pressure wrestling style. Now, in an interview with All Stars, UFC welterweight Gilbert Burns questioned the legitimacy of Covington's foot injury, saying that he saw Covington in Miami continuing life as usual, and that he wasn't even limping or wearing a cast on his injured foot. You can watch the full interview on the All Stars YouTube channel. We've attached the link in today's video description.
Say, right? It's hard to say because we never saw like his foot in a cast. He just showed an x-ray, right?
No, he was going everywhere. He saw him walking everywhere. The x-ray, I don't see his name on the x-ray, so...
Oh, that's weird. That's a weird thing right there, right?
I don't know, you know, and then we saw him, this guy walking everywhere. He in Miami, playing poker, going everywhere. He didn't see no cash, didn't see anything, so... I don't know. It's very hard to believe on anything that Colby says. You know, you don't know when it's true. You don't know when he's a character. So I just think a lot of guys said that he didn't show up. I think he did show up, but I think Leon just shut him down, you know. And
Brendan Schaub reacts to Dana White shutting down Conor McGregor's June return. The UFC president recently stated that McGregor vs. Chandler is not happening in June, as McGregor recently announced, and that the two will probably fight somewhere in the fall. Many MMA fans weren't happy with the announcement and wondered what the real reason behind McGregor's delayed return is. Speaking on the Thick Boy podcast, Brendan Schaub shared an interesting theory as to why McGregor vs. Chandler hasn't been booked yet, and why the UFC doesn't really want to make this fight happen. What do you guys make of this idea from Schaub?
But we thought Dana was going to announce UFC 300 main event and co-main event today, but he didn't do any of that. He announced that McGregor Chandler's not happening. It's not happening in June. This is what my skeptical hippo eyes think. McGregor has 1 or 2 fights left on his contract. The UFC never lets you fight your contract out, especially if you're a megastar like Conor. Manny Pacquiao's coming out of retirement. His #1 opponent he wants to fight is McGregor. I think Conor's like, yeah, I just need to fight Chandler, and then I'm going to fight Manny Pacquiao. And the UFC's like, no, you're not. You only have 1 or 2 fights left. We need to figure out a new deal with you. And he's like, no, I don't want to do that. I want to fight Chandler. I'm going to fight Manny Pacquiao, probably Jake Paul, and maybe Nate Diaz in boxing. That's what I want to do. The UFC's going, no way. We can't let you go. Because remember, too, the UFC's also in negotiations because their rights are up at ESPN. So that's going on. I'm sure Conor brings a lot to the table for the negotiation rights to TV, whether it's Netflix or wherever they're going to end up. So they can't let him leave, so they're just prolonging it. I think it would be a flex on Dana's part, too, to do it, because remember, he wouldn't let Francis do it. What do you think sells more, Francis Fury, which didn't do great, or Conor Manny Pacquiao? So I think there's a lot going on behind the scenes we're not privy to.
Sean Strickland faces off with Donald Trump. A video posted by influencer Steve Will Do It on Twitter showed Strickland facing off with none other than former President Donald Trump. The two men squared off against each other before bursting out into laughter. Strickland went on to brand Trump a legend following the exchange. Here's the clip. And here's how MMA fans reacted to the face-off. Fred said the only man Strickland actually stared at while doing the face-off, laughing him out. Pound for Pound Goat said, wildest duo ever. Padilla said, this is the most American vid. Anthony Gurton, did I just see Deshaun starstruck for the first time ever? Strickland finally didn't look uncomfortable. Colby definitely crying seeing this. Sean Strickland always knows how to sound like a 40-year-old trucker. Bruh, look at the respect though. He flinched back to make sure he didn't hit the two-time GOAT, soon to be respect. Sage Northcutt goes off on one championship. Northcutt was supposed to fight Japanese MMA legend Shinya Aoki at a one event this past January. However, on fight day, it was announced that Northcutt had been forced to withdraw due to unforeseen circumstances with his cornermen, according to the broadcast. On Thursday, Northcutt took to social media to slam one championship for an inaccurate hatchet job and threatened to blow the whistle on drug testing. He wrote, one championship is implying that I pulled out the Shinya fight for unforeseen circumstances. That is completely inaccurate. I sent one championship the necessary paperwork they required to get my coach's visas 48 days ahead of the event. I was told by them over the phone and by text my main jiu-jitsu coach Fabio Prado did not need a visa since I paid for his airfare flights and trips, so he's not classified as a working employee that needed a visa, and that my other coach could get in as a tourist, so he didn't need one either. My coaches were there for almost a week, and I was not informed that two of them could not coach until hours before my match. I received a text from an unknown number that texted me for the first time that day that was a ticket salesman asking me about getting my two coaches complimentary tickets to watch my fight in the audience. I personally believe that one championship was not going to inform me that my coaches were not allowed to corner me until I arrived at the arena to fight if I did not hear from a ticket salesman hours earlier. We were also told hours before my match that if my coaches violated the visa requirements and were caught on camera, they could be arrested, and there was a 99.8% conviction rate on all arrests. I made it clear to one championship that I was not flying from America to Japan if I didn't have my three coaches. I was told before I left to Japan by an executive that I would not have to fight without my coaches. They knew before I left that I would not be able to have two of my coaches. They never told me my coaches could be thrown in prison for any visa violation. There has been a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes with one championship, with what caused me to withdraw from my last fight, as well as other things that I will talk about at a later time on Facebook, Instagram, and with media outlets. Drug testing, weight cutting policies, active athlete / roster, one stability, etc. MMA legend Josh Barnett chimed in on the topic, writing, "This is very strange since you do not need a work visa to be a cornerman for someone in Japan. Trust me, I should know because I've been fighting and coaching and cornering over there for coming on 20 years. Nobody would have been arrested for coaching." Time for today's top memes. Third place was found over on Reddit and was posted by TLM. The second place meme was found over on Reddit and was posted by a user named KapilRB. And the top picked meme was found over on X and was posted by Dovey. Thanks for watching. If you like the content, smash that like button and don't forget to subscribe to stay in the talk.